Recording? Okay. Hi guys, this is my identity project. Oops. I asked the question, what does it mean to be a Christian female collegiate athlete at Pepperdine University? And my guiding statement was, to be a Christian female collegiate athlete at Pepperdine University is an empowering, respectable, and unique role. I chose these aspects because I thought they were unique to me, and I just really think this is a part of what makes me me. So first, I focused on Foucault and Bourdieu and their writings about power and capital. I talked about capital with Bourdieu and how attending Pepperdine shows the type of capital present, the economic capital, because Pepperdine is such a pricey school, but I didn't focus on that as much as I did the social and embodied cultural capital. So for the social capital, by attending Pepperdine, you're part of a specific social obligation, as Bourdieu would say. And by being in this, you're able to institutionalize your capital, as Pepperdine gives you connections and helps you climb the social ladder. The social aspect is great because you're able to meet new people and form new relationships to help you in the future. And then same with the embodied capital. You can also institutionalize this, but I feel like the embodied capital is more of my aspects that I chose, being an athlete, a Christian, and a female, and how they make me me. In terms of power, I talked about how in Foucault's writings, he described that power is always present, it exists everywhere, and it's between every interaction that we have. It's what forms and holds together the relationships in our lives. And so I felt like this was important to include because I feel like there's a power present from not just attending Pepperdine, but also being an athlete at Pepperdine. Next, I talked about different authors from the Readings for Diversity and Social Justice text. First, I used being an athlete as my focus. First, I focused on being an athlete, and I used Howland and Givabik to talk about ability and mental capacity, focusing around athletics, and how we're not just like athletes, but we're students first, and not a lot of people recognize that. I also used Ali Grassgreen's writings to explain how some schools do not treat students that struggle as well as Pepperdine does, and they're not as accommodating, especially to athletes, and how the expectations from athletes seem to be different. And this is somewhat true at Pepperdine. I do feel like there are some expectations that are higher just for wearing your team gear, and you're assumed to be a good athlete, so you should be a good student as well. But this isn't always true. Next, I talked about being a female, and I used the writings of Carbato to explain that being a female has advantages and disadvantages. But also I talked about how privilege isn't always a bad thing when it's used in the right way. I used Johnson's writings to talk about societal standards and how I believe being a female athlete is very important to my identity, as I'm breaking the typical norms, and it can be influential to everyone because most people expect males to be college athletes, and they don't typically immediately think of females when you hear the phrase college athlete. Lastly, I focused on being a Christian, and I talked about attending Pepperdine because it is a Christian university, and it's very different than like a typical university nowadays. I used the study from Nasit and Al-Amin to give the example of how my Christianity and my faith has strengthened through attending Pepperdine, and how inclusive Pepperdine is, not only to different branches of Christianity, but even to totally different religions. And lastly, this is something to think about as I leave. So when I was writing this paper and I made my identity and my guiding statement, it kind of occurred to me that my statement won't always be who I am for my life because I will graduate one day and I will no longer be a college athlete. And so this made me think, how will my identity change in the upcoming years? So I want to challenge you to think about how your identity will change as well, or even if you think it will change and like in what aspects. Thank you.